And we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see here. All right, I know it's sometimes a delay, but let me see who is in the live. Put a comment if you're there. Tragically Delicious, I see that you posted, but this is a couple hours ago. Okay, let's see. Is anyone here? Let me check. Let's see. Okay, so you can hear me. All right, all right. I'm like, there's a delay, I think, on my end. Hold on, let me see. Hey, Steph. All right, I guess some people are coming in. I know on my end, it's only 5 o'clock here, so I'm sure people are getting off of work on this end. But how is everyone doing? Let's see. Yeah, we're about to get into it. It does seem like it's a slight delay. Yeah, I'll give everyone a minute to get in. When you guys come in, just of course, say your hellos in the chat so I know people are here. But yeah, we're about to get into this Danae Jaxn interview. Whew, it was deep. It was deep. Hey, Nene. Yeah, it was deep. It was deep. Finish up some paperwork for yeah, exactly. I know it's probably one of those situations. And again, I know a big thing about love after lockup. You already know. I know it was a big thing that came out with her interview today. I just don't want to talk about them today. Like, honestly, like, if from my understanding, I guess apparently it was a great interview. I wish her well. Maybe we'll get into it like this weekend or something, but I'm just over talking about them right now. I don't know about y'all, but I'm just kind of over it. And I feel that this interview with Danae, this interview was deep, and we definitely need to talk about it, especially, I'm saying, as women, especially as Black women, we need to talk about it. I took notes, and it was a lot to unpack, a lot. Yeah, so I'm just giving people time to come in. Let's see who else is here. So I know Nini's here, Steph is here. Looks like a couple of other people are on here. After a certain point, though, I'm a rock. I don't care if it's only 2 or 3 of us in here. Y'all know how I am. I'm gonna say my piece. People want to come on the panel, they can, because I definitely want to touch on this. Yeah. One thing I will say though, this is not going to be a roast session of Danae, because the truth of the matter is we got a lot of Danae Jaxns out there. We really do. We have a lot of Danae Jaxns. Hell, I just spoke on one from Love After Lockup. You already know who I'm talking about. We have a lot of Danae Jaxns. So this is what happens. This is what happens when there is no identity within yourself. A lack of identity within yourself creates insecurities, therefore also creates that you pretty much you become his identity. You know what I mean? You become his identity. So this is a recipe for disaster, and it sounds like it was a recipe for disaster from the beginning. Hey, Tragically Delicious, did you hit the notification button for the live? Because if that's the case, that may be an issue that people didn't get the notification. Did you hit the notification when I put the upcoming live up? I don't know if you did or not. Oh, you did? That's weird. All right. Well, you know what? Look, like I said, I don't care if it's 2 of us in here. We gonna rock. We're gonna rock, and then of course, as people come in, great. And then if people can't make it in, then they can get to the playback. So, did everyone who's on here though watch the Danae Jaxn interview? Let's start there. Did you watch it? Did you watch part 1 and part 2? Gotcha, tragically. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but we gonna rock with it. We gonna rock with it. It is what it is. That's the beauty about doing these lives. We can engage live. And then for people who can't make it to the live, they can always watch the playback. I saw the drama in the room. Okay, so you've seen some of part 1. Okay. So and then you saw the drama like a lot of us did, of course, with the whole situation and the bonnet video. She claims it was a hat. I don't know. I call it the bonnet video too. I watched some of it, but it was too much. Yeah, Nene, it was. I had to force myself to watch it because of course I was gonna talk about it today. So yeah, I watched it, honey. I watched all of it. And part 1, but I got enough and didn't finish, but almost finished it, but also know the backstory. Okay. All right. All right. Well, definitely everybody, of course, when you come in, please hit the like button. Hello, Chris Crew. Hello, Chris Crew. So let me start off by saying this. First of all, the first 10, 15 minutes, she just kept hitting us, knocking us out. Hey, Yuli. In the first 10, 15 minutes, she already had given us a lot. It was just like, oh my gosh. But I'll start off by saying this. Definitely in this interview, we see a charming, charismatic Danae. Of course, before we saw Danae, who literally, when she was on that video with her soon to be ex husband, I almost was like, I need for you to blink twice because I don't know if you are there right now. Because when that Bond video came out, I was like, what the heck is going on? It almost did feel like she was forced to be there. Now, granted, hey, Renee, now, granted, like she claims she voluntarily did the video, but everybody knows that video threw all of us off. And we were like, what the heck is going on? But in this particular interview, she seemed charming. She seemed charismatic. She was constantly joking about her experiences and kind of being like snarky, kind of that funny, sarcastic type of vibes or whatever. She was doing that. But in my personal opinion, and this is my opinion, I felt she did that a lot in the interview. It's like it was that mentality of you have to laugh to keep from crying. I felt like she kept doing that because she knew how ridiculous or how crazy everything she was going to say was going to sound. And because she had went through so much, like so much in what, a span of over a decade plus, that she had to be snarky. She had to kind of make everything a joke because she was going to possibly break down. And she kind of does break down in part 2 a little bit, but she holds her composure. But that's what I gathered. I felt like she literally kept, cracking jokes and stuff due to the fact that, she knew what she was going to say sounded a little crazy. But again, there are plenty of Danae Jaxns out there. So we're not going to pretend as if she's the only one who did all of this stuff. But with that being said, first things first, she said she was born and raised in Denver, Colorado. And as soon as I heard that, I said, well, damn, here we go. Because I'm going to assume, just based off of what I know, that is not the best place for Black people to grow up, in a sense of being able to find Black culture or be embraced by Black culture. Okay. So when she said that, and then on top of that, she did say she went to a predominantly white school, I said, okay, she probably definitely has some identity issues. Then she went on to say she did have abandonment issues with her parents. And she said that her parents were teen parents. and that they were never a couple. So, they did a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, freaky tales. And her father wasn't present. Her father, like in the beginning when her mother was pregnant, I guess allegedly even thought, like, is this child even mine? And then she definitely had situations where her father wasn't there, always claimed he would be there, wasn't there. But with that, she said that he passed at when she was 12 years old. Okay, so she had abandonment issue there. She said she was a tomboy because she wanted to have that love from her father. So she wanted to play sports like her brothers to, get that closest with her father. And she mentioned she was a chubby girl. So here we have Denver, Colorado, chubby girl, tomboy. And she says later on that, she really didn't have upkept hair. She had pimples all over her face. So already I'm like, okay, damn, we got a lot going on here. Okay. Before even Derek hits the scene, we have a lot going on here. Okay. Then she says at 19, she was AR'd, and you guys know what AR'd is. She was AR'd at a party, and she never processed it and even stayed the night where her abuser was. She stayed in the same house where her abuser was. And she said she didn't even process that until she was around 30 years old. Okay. So most of this stuff is already within 10 minutes of the interview. And when she got AR'd at 19, 3 months later, she met Derek. Okay. Yeah, and Yuli, you're absolutely right. I didn't want to mention her name, but you're absolutely right. Her situation and Monique's situation seems so much. And isn't it interesting that they both chose freaking F boys named Derek? I look, look. Apologies to those who may be listening who got relatives named Derek, but I be damn. I be damn. I'm like, isn't it interesting? Interesting. Um, Okay, so Tragically Delicious says, just skipped a little through the end of part one. Feels like she's trying to sell something because she won't even say the words other women, it's other people in a relationship. No, your man stepped out. Yeah, and we'll get to that too. Um, but with that, she ends up meeting him. Okay. She meets him at Tuskegee University. And one thing I've noticed now, what I tell people all the time, people who go to HBCUs, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have been around Black culture so much in their life that because of that, they chose to have that experience. Some people, like a Danae, probably went to an HBCU because they lacked that experience so much growing up that they wanted some of that experience. So they met at Tuskegee University. And I want to say she said in a management class, and he starts the conversation off about how, oh, do you model? Mind you, she said her hair was unkept. She had pimples all over her face. And while she wasn't the biggest girl, she said she still had some weight on her. And she was also a band girl, too. She was in the band. Okay. So, with that, the fact that he starts off saying, were you a model? Okay, look, I mean, I know guys, have their little game that they run, but I was just like, okay, this is how you starting it off. But I guess apparently she may have had pictures or something, said, yes, I was. And then he goes off to say, can you tutor me? Okay. Now, here's the thing. From my experience, a true F boy who knows how to manipulate the game and everything else. Let's start off by the fact that Derek is not an unattractive guy. He is a football player at Tuskegee. I would have to say that he could get practically a good amount of girls on that campus. And he knew this. Why did he go for Danae? In my opinion, for several reasons. One, I've seen this before. And when you really think about it, when you choose the most least attractive girl, the girl that no one would dare think that you would want To a certain extent, that in itself will get you more attention from females. Think about what I just said. That in itself will get you more attention because of the fact that girls are automatically on campus going to be like, well, why he choose her? They get intrigued. Why he choose her? Her of all people? Does he see me look at her? Why he choose her? So it makes him more of a magnet to the girls on campus. So to me, that was game in general. That was just game. And then not to mention, she was literally wrapped around his finger. I saw that picture of them when they were in college. She was looking up at him like it was a mixture of her father to just like the love of her life. It was just yeah. Yeah. Yes, Nene. Yes, Steph. Let me start putting this up because real talk. Exactly. 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 So, while she thought, oh my gosh, he chose me, I'm so special. Nah, boo. Nah. He was doing that to run game. He was doing that to run game. So with that, and then she said, by him being this big guy on campus, this football player, and she had never really been introduced to Black culture before, Derek was her introduction to Black culture. And you're at an HBCU where Black culture is everything. And you are now able to just literally jump into this Black culture with a football player who's known on campus. Hell yeah, this was definitely. She tried to find her self-esteem through a man. She tried to find her self-worth and self-value through a man, and that will never work. That will never work. And this is what happened with her. So, with that being said, when she started off with all of that, the R situation, the abandonment issues from her father, and the shout out, I mean, the guy who did the interview, he was a good interviewer. He just let her talk. He never really asked, well, he asked questions, but there were some questions that I definitely felt like he should have asked because while we heard about the father, she never really goes into detail about her relationship with her mother, if you guys noticed that. She never goes into detail. We hear about the mother, but we don't really know what her relationship was like with her mother. Besides the fact that when she got really involved in that relationship, at one point she did step away from her mother and her side of the family because the mother didn't like Derek. So, but I was curious to know, wow, you have abandonment issues with your father and he died when you were really young. What was your relationship like with your mother? Because I feel like there could have been something there with the mother too that she did not want to talk about. Let's see. She pushed back her own needs and wants and hide inside of him and lost herself. No, she never found herself, Steph. See, that's the thing. She never knew who she was. She never knew who she was. There was no loss of self. There was no self for her. She didn't know who she was. She was pretty much a shell. She was empty inside. So a Derek or any man was able to come in and just manipulate that whole situation because she didn't know who she was. My uncle told me a long time ago, a pimp only gains his true power when he finds his bottom B. He found his bottom B in her. I mean, as harsh as that may sound, it's just the reality of the situation because we learned that there was infidelity from the beginning of their relationship. They met at 19. Apparently, they started dating immediately after. That puppy love, high school, college stuff that, a lot of us go through. I didn't go through it to this extent. I mean, damn. But, a lot of us go through, they end up getting together, but instantly the cheating already started. And they didn't even marry until 9 years after they started dating. And in those 9 years, it was so much infidelity. So much. So this was already a recipe for disaster. A recipe for disaster. And I'm happy she was honest and open about the situation. You know what I mean? I do. I'm happy that she was, but it was a lot. I was like, I need to sage after this. Like, where is my sage at? Like, this is crazy. But with that, you know, we continue on, and then, gosh, then she starts talking about her very should I say even investigative ways, or hell, should I just say stalker ways? Now, this is all alleged in my opinion. I don't even want to say it's investigative. She started pretty much snooping through his phone, doing all of this stuff. And the interview asked her, what made you start snooping through his phone? And she said, he touched me differently. Just from a touch, him touching me differently, I just, automatically assume it had to be someone else. And, I just started snooping around. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it even had to be a different touch. I think she was going to do it anyways. So I think she was going to do that anyways. I think that without a change of a touch or anything, she was going to do that anyways because she already knew the man she was dealing with. She already knew it. It didn't have to take a different type of touch. It just took him being the man that he was, that you already saw he was, on top of the fact that you being insecure within yourself, you were going to snoop anyways. Damn a touch. But that's what she said. So with that, they were on and off for those 9 years. And the crazy part about it is they were off when he proposed to her. But we find out that really the only reason why it appears that he proposed to her is because she was pregnant. Did y'all gather that? Did y'all hear that? When she said, first of all, she said she had 3 abortions prior. She had literally 3 of them prior to keeping the one that she finally got pregnant with, that she wanted to keep. She had 3 of them prior. She decided to keep this one, and they were off, but they were still having freaky tales. And she said that he had heavy rotation of girls coming in, that sometimes she would leave late and she would be walking down the stairs as the other girl was coming up to greet Derek. And I was like, whoo. Like, how bad do you have to feel to even see these girls after you leave? And I don't know about y'all, but I feel like when they were off and she got pregnant, I'm wondering if she did do that one definitely on purpose. Now, the other 3, I don't know, but I'm wondering if she did that on purpose, thinking that was going to keep women away. Because you know how that go, especially that mentality that, well, I'm having his baby, so that should keep the girls away. It ain't keeping the girls away. It ain't going to keep him away from the girls. Oh, yep. Okay, well, there it is. Look, Steph said it. Yeah. So there it is. Hey, beautiful Sag boo. We talking about your Sag sister, honey. I found out Danae Jaxn is a Sagittarius, boo. What you got to say about that? Danae Jaxn is a Sagittarius, beautiful Sag lady. That's your Sag sister. Oh, I'm just playing. No, but seriously, she is a Sagittarius. um, Either have feelings of being played and leave, or just be told once, because Derek struck me as a narcissist even before the drama. After it broke, he cheated. I knew he'd try and keep his bag. And then the interview where she looked like a hostage happened. Yeah, she did. I was like, she need to blink twice and let us know if she need help. That's what I gathered from it. A baby will break a relationship up quicker. Yeah, you would think, but at the same time, we talking about her mentality. See, her mentality is You know what I'm saying? She wants to be able, she thinks that's trapping him. You know what I'm saying? Like with us, we know that a baby don't keep nothing together. But for her, especially in that mindset in her 20s, she probably felt like, she will forever keep him around because she's having this child. Hold on, I gotta. Most men think since it don't come from them, then they don't care, right? Said, child, she must be a cuss because we cheat back. She's kind of a cuss. She has like a couple of more days, I think, before Capricorn season starts. I want to say she's a 20th or 21st baby. Honey, I had to look it up. And I mean, I know astrology doesn't, it doesn't prove or handle everything, but I like to look at astrology, and from my understanding, she's a Sag and Derek is a Cancer. And yeah, I didn't know how that was gonna work out. Now, not saying that Cancers and Sages can't stay together. There's also your rising, your moon signs, and all of that stuff. But typically, Cancer and Sag, water and fire, yeah, that don't usually mix. So that was already, I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's definitely interesting. But yeah, so all of this, mind you, is literally within 30 minutes of the interview at this point. And she does admit that all of the snooping around and all of that stuff and the stuff that she did was very much toxic behavior. And I am so happy she said that, because while she was joking and kind of having that kind of casual conversation, I'm glad she pointed that out, because I'm like, we don't need any more girls out here thinking that this type of shit is cute and that this is normal behavior, because it's not. We do not need to have a situation where people, especially girls, think this is normal behavior. It is not. If you got to do all of that, he's not your man. He's just not. He is not your man. So with that, she said they're off. They're not even in a relationship when she ends up getting pregnant. She speaks to his mother. Next thing you know, Derek is calling her mother, asking for her hand in marriage. And just like that, all of that proposal and everything else, or whatever case it may be. Now, mind you, by the time he proposes to her, the baby is already here. The baby, I guess, apparently is 2 months old. And literally, there's still drama going on in their situation. Still drama, still cheating, all of that stuff. So this was just all signs. And definitely you could tell just based off of what she said, Derek seemed to have emotionally abused her. I'm curious though to know if that was all. Now again, we don't know. Unless she's willing to give a tell-all book, because there's only so much you can do in an interview. But I don't know, like, just it's that whole situation. And even still, even with the makeup and everything else, I still feel like she hasn't healed. And that's another thing too. And we're going to talk about these boot camp classes that she's selling. And I'm like, baby girl, look, you seem to have learned to hustle like your husband, but look, some people may want to buy it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't feel that you've healed fully. You haven't even divorced yet. I don't know. It was like $5,000. $5,000 for this infidelity boot camp. And you dealt with infidelity for pretty much majority of your life, and I'm about to pay you $5,000. Okay, you know what? Good luck with that. Maybe there'll be some women out there. Maybe there's some women out there who got that type of money who just want to simply support her. I don't know, but it won't be me. It won't be me. So with that, she goes on to talk about that even 3 weeks before her marriage date, she finds out about this girl. This girl even posts, I think, her and Derek on social media. She flips out on him. And instead of canceling the wedding, postponing the marriage, something, she still gets married to him, even though she went ape shit on him 3 weeks before, because this girl posted stuff about her and about Derek and this girl on social media. She literally still got married to him 3 weeks later. So, and I don't know if she mentioned this, but it's just almost like you gave him permission. Oh, you know what? She did mention it. She said she never set boundaries. She didn't even know what boundaries were. She said she didn't finally start setting boundaries until they got married. And then after X amount of a year or so, that's when she wanted to set boundaries. When she actually left him for 8 months, that's when she wanted to set boundaries. Girl, like it's too late. Now, here's the thing. I will say this. I do believe if someone cheats one time, if someone does cheat one time, I do feel that it is possible that that person can get their stuff together and change. But once he cheats for the 5,000th time, there ain't no changing. That's who he is. That's just who the hell he is. So that's why I'm just like, girl, like, whew, I hope we have some young girls or even some women our age who looked at this and literally learned from this and saw themselves in the situations. And I hope they learn to, this is not the way to go. You know what I mean? And see, some of y'all gonna have to come up here after I give my spill on the situation, because y'all speaking some wisdom in the live. You know what I'm saying, in the chat, because yeah, it's crazy. So she gets married. There's no boundaries. They have a 9,000 square foot mansion in Atlanta. The condo, the infamous condo that Tasha K brought up in all of her receipts. They had a condo. She claims he said it was for business. He was constantly at the condo while she was alone with the children in that 9,000 square foot house. She said that she saw the cleaning people more than she saw her own husband. Okay. And so with that, she even implies, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys let me know the ones who did listen to this, did she imply that apparently Derek possibly had some type of infidelity going on with a distant relative of hers? She did not say it was a prenup, Hewley. She did not. In which, if there is no prenup, baby, baby, and there's proven infidelity, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, she said that a distant relative of hers, she implied that Derek had relations with a distant relative of hers. But she still stayed with him. She still stayed with him. And pretty much says that, she ends up leaving him. Yeah, exactly, Yuli. Exactly. She got married in January of 2018. But I think she said February, or was it 2019? It was one of those. By February of 2020, she leaves him. Okay. When she leaves him, she pretty much says that her cell phone was off because, let him tell it, there was some definitely, who? I'm like, who is this? Tracy? Oh, you must be some type of, are you a bot or something, or somebody hiding behind her? Are you talking about me, or who are you talking about? Anywho, let me continue. So with that being said, she pretty much says her cell phone was off. And her cell phone was off, like it was a disconnect, because, let Derek tell it, they were having financial issues. So her cell phone was off while she was driving from Atlanta to Denver with her mother and the kids. Her cell phone was off because apparently there were financial issues. Mind you, this is a college educated woman who said, I think she was in a management class. So my guess is saying that she had a business degree, maybe a business degree, or at least a minor in business. And yet she let him handle all the financial stuff to the point where, while you had this home in this condo, he can't pay the cell phone bill. Okay. So with that, she pretty much says that she tries to give him all of these things he has to do to take her back, thinking she can control a cheater. She always says she used to threaten him about leaving with the babies, thinking she can control a cheater. Not going to happen. But here's the thing. Part 2 gets deeper, y'all. It gets deeper. She said she had 3 therapists. She said that, she was losing weight, but it gets real deep because she starts to say that she used to study the freaky tale videos between Derek and these other women. She used to study them. She used to look at them, try to mimic them, and literally do things that they did to Derek, she would try to do. So then that way he would want her. She used to study them. And she even put a comment saying, I knew their bodies more than I knew my own. That's what she said. I knew these women's bodies more than I knew my own. Deep. Deep. That's when I almost was like, oh my gosh. And this was just like 2020. This wasn't that long ago. You can't convince me you're healed all the way. You had trauma from when you were a child all the way up to pretty much your adult life at 30 something years old. You're healed? No. Especially when you're saying stuff like that. And again, I appreciate her transparency. But when you say that, child. And she said at one point she got so depressed and stressed that she wasn't eating. She was really, really skinny. She said she started journaling. She had her awakening moment when she started journaling and stuff like that. And she said that there was a lot of spiritual warfare. And she said that even she saw her daughter get lifted up out of the bed and placed on the floor, like stuff like this. But anywho, she pretty much says that she gave him ultimatums or whatever, and they said that they needed to leave it. She said they needed to leave Atlanta. It was too much going on in Atlanta and move to Texas. Child, a thought is going to be a thought wherever you are. A hoe going to be a hoe wherever you are. A cheater going to be a cheater wherever you are. I don't care if you move to Alaska. A cheater's going to cheat. So she going to move to Texas. And so with that, they moved to Texas. And I want to say they moved to Texas, I think she said in 2020, 2021, but by early 21, that's when the Bonnet video came out. And she said she knew about all of the stuff the girls that Tasha K was talking about. She already knew about it. She just to the extent didn't know it was going to be publicly displayed like that. Mind you, she said in the Bonnet video that she was pregnant with her third child in that video. So she was already stressed out. She was already now publicly embarrassed. And yeah, she's pregnant with her third child in that Bonnet video. In my opinion, when I saw that Bonnet video again, I thought she was on the verge of snapping. Mind you, she is a Sagittarius woman and beautiful Sag lady. You know I love you, but you know the dark side of Sagittarius women don't play. So I was just like, child, like, I honestly felt like he wanted to leave that house because he was getting scared of her at a certain point because he didn't know what she was about to do. And to a certain extent, when you put a woman through all of that, you don't know what she's about to do. You don't. But she said that she almost unalived herself several times. And if it wasn't for God, she wouldn't be there. She wouldn't be here today. And so it was a lot. And she even said that she had issues with her own daughter's complexion because her daughter is a chocolate baby. You know, she said she's a beautiful chocolate princess. And while Derek had a plethora of women of different complexions, his preference, she said, seemed to be more of a chocolate melanated woman. And so she said she's not really melanated. Exactly, beautiful snap. Exactly. When y'all snap, y'all snap. She says she's not a chocolate woman. So she would even look at her daughter as like, my daughter is his preference, and even said, even though she carried her, those women had her. Let me repeat that again. She said her own daughter, even though she carried and had that daughter, she felt like even though she carried the child, These women were pretty much the mother to that child, almost. They had her even though she carried her. And she tells us that clinically she was never diagnosed with anything. No depression, no nothing. I guess. But then again, can you be clinically diagnosed with insecurity? I don't think so. I don't think that's, but I to not be clinically diagnosed with anything, child. Okay. So with that, I mean, it was a lot to unpack. She says, and then again, she literally said that she's gotten her Master of Divinity. I guess that's why she feels like she is qualified to have this infidelity boot camp, child. And there was a video, I guess apparently, I didn't see this video where she was cursing people and cursing their children or cursing at people and claiming that it was in Psalms, the book of Psalms in the Bible. And she said that, and she was literally making, like, even though the guy was laughing, he was like, you was trying to curse people's kids and families. And she was like, it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. I mean, God will give you the words. It's in the Bible. Like, she stood 10 toes down, pretty much saying that she implied that anyone who's saying slanderous things about her and Derek and all of this stuff. And she just kind of like put this Bible verse on them, pretty much saying, in a way, bad things going to happen. And she stood 10 toes down on that and just said it was in the Bible and God will give you the words. I was like, nah, yeah, you definitely got a lot more work to do on yourself, baby girl. Like, you do. And interesting enough, she said when she did that, cursing people and swearing on people or whatever the case may be, when she did that, she said that that's when Derek sent her a text message wanting a divorce. Once she did that video, he sent that text message. She said September 29th of 2022 and said at that moment, that's when he wanted a divorce. And he sent her the text while they were both in the house. Okay. He sent her a text while they were both in the house. She said they tried the marriage counseling, all of that stuff. And then she said he wrote down about 100 names of women that he cheated on her with. And ladies, can we be honest here? Can guys really name off that many women? Would they even remember all of those women's names? Especially a Derek who was already what is considered a public figure and was already doing, I guess, seminars and all of that stuff across the nation. Would he even remember all of those names? She said he wrote down 100 women's names. I don't know if I necessarily believe that he remembered all of those women's names. I'm not saying that he didn't sleep with that many women. I'm just saying that he realistically remember all of their names. Realistically. So to me, I feel like he did that probably, sometimes guys like Derek, both Dereks, even with their F-boy qualities, they still don't want to be seen as the bad guy. Even with all of the stuff that they do, they still don't want to be seen as the bad guy. So it's better sometimes to put these women through so much stuff so they can just end up not taking anymore and leaving versus them leaving the woman. You think the number's more than that, but my thing is, can he realistically remember 100 names? Hell, I can't even remember 100 names of just people I've met in my lifetime so far. Can you really, I'm wondering, did he write every girl down he slept with? I don't know. I just felt like that just wasn't realistic. But yeah, so she's not actually divorced. They are still going through the process. He filed the divorce first, saying, what is it? Inquisal? What is it? I forgot what it is. Like the one that's the mutual one. The like we're just not compatible. We're different. That one. She said that's what he filed, but she came and filed back and said no, infidelity. Because I think it's a bigger issue in like Georgia and certain places when you divorce due to infidelity. So yeah, so they're still going back and forth. I mean, the reality is she didn't mention a prenup. If anything, whatever his assets are worth, she's probably going to get half, and she got 3 children with him. So on a financial level, if he's still doing everything to keep up the finances, she'll be straight. But on a mental level, child, I don't know. Because like I said, even through this, and when she started talking about how she would study those women and her child, that's when she started breaking down. That's why I said she was doing all of that joking and all of that stuff, because I think that helps her from crying. But when she started talking about how she used to study these women, she started to tear up. She realized how far she had gone, and just was completely just like no self-love, no self-identity. It was deep, y'all. It was just too deep. And the reality is, I want to talk about this because Danae Jackson is not the only Danae Jackson. There are so many women out here who do stuff like this. They do. You know what I mean? It's just that hers was put out there on a public, in a public way. We hear about these stories all the time. Hell, truthfully, we do. We hear about these stories on Snap and stuff. People just don't snap randomly in the beginning of the relationship. It takes usually years for this stuff to develop. You know what I mean? And then they finally just break and they can't take it anymore. So I think that's really what it was for her. Now, as far as her being healed, I don't know. But I put the link down below, for those who kind of want to talk about it, give their insight and stuff on it. Even that girl who came in and just make a comment, I guess, and leave, you can actually come on too if you bold enough to come on. But yeah, definitely let's talk about it, because I just honestly, it blew me away. It blew me away to hear this woman. And again, her honesty, it definitely was appreciated. It was. But at the same time, do I feel that she is at a stage of healing where she can heal other women? I don't know. And I definitely don't know if a master's degree is going to be able to do that. But, she got what, over 100,000 followers on Instagram. She definitely has learned the game through her husband on how to maximize on her, following. She definitely has. She knows how to maximize off of that. So, I mean, maybe some women will. Maybe some women will appreciate it, but I just, this is what happens when there is no self-love and self-identity, in the beginning of your life, and you don't learn and develop that at a young age. When you don't have no identity, when you have, like, literally you're just a shell. You're a person, but there's nothing inside of you. You're just a shell. This is what happens. These type of the Derricks and people like that, and even in friendships, you know what I mean? Real talk. Even in friendships, people will people will take advantage. And she dealt with that for a good half her life. She said she's 33 years old. She met Derek at 19. At 19. So it's a sad situation. Okay, let's see who's coming up. And again, you guys, I know typically I talk about the gossip spill, but I like to break stuff up. We talked about trauma bonding before, you know what I mean? We're going to talk about this. Like, it's not all about views for me all the time. Like, sometimes we need to talk about stuff, so then you just never know who's going to listen in on it, who's going to listen to it, and they can be helped in the situation, because this was deep. This was definitely deep. Hey, beautiful Sag girl.
Hey, mama.
How are you?
Girl, it's been a long week. My baby in the hospital. We've been at Texas Children's Hospital
Oh
days, and it's just,
no. You
ugh,
okay?
hopefully we'll see. They found something in his kidney, so we're
Oh
just stay
no.
prayerful. Everybody, y'all
Oh
keep the
yeah.
baby in his prayers. I'd appreciate that.
For sure. Positive energy and prayers definitely going up to your baby, for sure. For sure.
Thank you.
So,
But
you want to talk about this child, yo, Sag sister?
I don't know what's wrong with her. Like, I know I put up with a lot, like in the beginning of my, I did. I put up with a whole lot, especially like when you're married and you're trying to hold on with your children, and he may be like the breadwinner, but that's a lot of mental, like, she was mentally had to be tormented from childhood. Like, she's not healed. That baby needs some counseling. She can't be trauma bond. I don't know what's. I just don't understand it, because it's one thing to let a man just treat you like that and just no, that's too much. That's too much for me.
Right.
That's
Right.
not saying no. Oh no.
Exactly.
Cause I
So,
be doggone if a woman passing me, I'm walking about down my stairs and I see a woman passing me by in my house.
but here's my thing. This is another thing. It is, and I guess my whole thing is this. Why are we getting the echo? Hold on, let me see.
Hold on, that may be me, cause like I said, we in the hospital room, and
Okay, hold on.
we got
Well,
TV and everything else going.
hold on. No, it's fine now. Something, it may have been something in. But that's also why I was wondering if it was more than emotional abuse, and she just doesn't want to say anything.
You welcome, baby. I'm on live, honey. Yeah, that's.
Tell them we said we praying for them.
They say they praying for you, baby. This is Miss Nicole. Thank you. Yeah, I'm telling y'all, we going through it in this hospital.
We gonna
And then
pray
we're in
for
the same
y'all.
room together with my teenager.
Yeah, we all feeling, we all, it takes a village, so we gonna be praying for her. But yeah,
I
but
done lost my whole train of thought, girl. With a
no, it's
teenager locked
okay.
up in the same room.
Let me bring you back to it, because I was gonna say, do you think, because clearly there was emotional abuse, but I'm wondering if it was definitely, you know what I'm saying, possibly more than that.
It seems like that's what I was gonna say. It seems like she was afraid of him. Like, not only afraid to lose him, but like afraid to literally walk out that door.
Yeah.
He must, I mean, I don't know if he was. I'm gonna have to go on mute because my baby is just too out of line. Y'all, I'm sorry.
It's okay. But no, but like, yeah, it seems like, because again, emotional abuse I get, but also when there's fear involved for other reasons, where it's financial or physical, everything else, I can see when people may really feel like they're even more trapped. You know what I mean? That was my thing on it. Hey, Yuli, you can
Hey,
unmute yourself.
Chris.
Hey,
Hey,
how are
Chris.
Hey,
you?
Hey, guys.
Yuli.
Hey,
How you
mama.
guys doing?
Good. What's your take on this, child? Because it was a lot. It was a lot.
Oh, child, I was watching that interview and I was stuck on some stuff. I had to rewind on a few spaces. That part where she was saying that I knew these women's body more than I knew myself. I rewind that part 3 times, girl. And all I kept wondering is like, but girl, how did you just realize this? Like you realized this, that you knew these women's bodies more than yourself, but at no point did you realize, who am I in this relationship? What am I holding on to? Like, is this beneficial for me, for my children, for like, forget the man that's holding the provider line. And which is why I'm saying, like, I understand if there was like if there was scare, like if there was fright behind those eyes, but at the same time it's like at no point in the whole Pandora box of situations that you're dealing with did you ever catch hope. Did you
Yeah.
ever think within yourself, shit, can I get out of this?
Yuli, I'm gonna interrupt you. What I noticed, she didn't, and this is the thing that she did not leave him. He left her. He sent
Yeah,
her
no,
a
she
text message
Right.
and was like, "I want a divorce." See, this man didn't even have the balls enough to tell her that
mhm.
to her face. So she would still be in this situation. So in my eyes, I think she's still fearful. Like she's scared. She has not found her voice. She has not found her strength, because if that man would not have sent her that message, she'd still be sitting there with him.
Right.
Girl.
Right.
Which exactly.
Exactly. And that's another thing too. Had it not been because he decided, like I said, she said after she damn near said everybody who literally, she was trying to curse people, saying anybody who got lying about me and Derek or whatever the case may be, she was like pretty much saying y'all going to hell. That's what she was pretty much trying to imply by using, the verse that she got from the Bible. And then literally after that happened, he said, I want to divorce you. So you literally right before he said that was defending him. Derek was still included in that conversation when you was trying to curse people, saying that if anybody has anything to say about you and Derek lying on you and all of that stuff, this is what's going to happen to you. You still had his name in your mouth as if you guys were this unit.
This is why love is a sacred word, man.
You know what I mean? Like that's the crazy part about it. So that's I was just like, it really had to take him to leave you. And honestly, here's the thing. I don't blame Derek because how she was coming off did kind of seem like she was on the verge of snapping. I wouldn't put it past her. I mean, granted, you know what I'm saying? She said that, because again, she said she was almost trying to hurt herself a couple of times. So the fact that she was trying to hurt herself a couple of times, what makes you think that she possibly would not hurt someone else? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like those type of things. It makes you say, damn, like, I don't blame him, but at the same time, again, we got to get back to this, Yuli and everyone else. We always have a situation where she got more scrutiny than Derek did. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Yes,
She
she
got
did.
more scrutiny. I didn't even know who the hell Derek was. I found out about this Derek drama through Tasha K. And I was like, who the hell is this Derek Jaxn guy? I don't know who the hell he is. I didn't know who he was. But then when I saw that video, all the attention went to her. And it's always that constant thing that they are always willing to attack the woman versus attacking the man. And of course, people will say, well, what did she do? And look at the way she was looking and stuff like that. And she talked about that. Not even the fact that she said right before that, of course, she was pregnant. She said she had morning sickness that morning. But then she also said that they had just came back from a funeral not too long ago, either that day or like a couple days prior or whatever. So no one knew what she was going through at that time. And granted, I was one of those people who I was just like, oh, she needs to blink. Like, I am so concerned right now on what she is and what is going on in her head. But it got to a point where I was more concerned about what was going on in her head, about how she was looking in her face and what was coming out of her mouth. But a lot of people attacked her as far as how she looked.
It
And
wasn't a
make
look.
that as the reason as to why he cheated. And I'm over this, like, and granted, two truths can coexist, but I'm over this situation where, especially with us, especially with minority women, Black and brown women, we are real quick to attack each other before we attack the man.
And it's funny though that it's getting to the point that we're just attacking the woman. Yet the man is the one that initiates the issue. The man is the one that implements it. The man is the one that puts it into production. The man is the one that still attacks it.
Right.
And yet it's the woman that comes out with the resolutions of it being the cause of it.
Right.
Like I have never been able to understand it, and that's probably the system why I always automatically believe like run. Like sometimes you just gotta learn to run. Forget fighting, forget standing there and enduring. Enduring is not gonna get you resolutions. It is just gonna let time pass. And time does not ease any pain. It lets you forget it if you are able to. But if you're not, it simmers it and it makes it worse. And so for her to come on now and say, hey, but I got this offer for women that are going through the same issue, but yet you haven't healed. You don't
Yeah.
have a plan on how to heal. You don't have a path on the way of healing. How are you gonna let other people? How are you gonna lead other people?
And she said that text that he sent her wanting a divorce, she said was September 29th of 2022. That hasn't even been a year yet. And you trying to convince us that you healed? I was just like, no, like you got years of healing to do. Now I can see if she was doing some type of like support system group or something like that, where they're all trying to help heal each other. And she provides, I guess like counseling or whatever the case may be from like a licensed therapist or whatever. But she literally
Yeah.
said she got that text message September 29th of 2022. You have not healed, mama. Like, there's no way in the world that I'm convinced, like, I have been through much less, but in a breakup, it took me way longer to heal than what she went through almost her whole entire life.
Child, it took me like 4 years after my child's father to finally move on without having no
Yes.
resentments, no heartbreaks, no nothing.
Tell me.
Uh-uh.
But you're going to try to convince us from September 29th of 2022 to now June 1st of 2023 that you
No.
healed and ready and able to sit up there and have an infidelity boot camp. And then someone sent me something saying that she said that God told her to charge those prices.
She in stage number 6, called denial.
I said,
Child, the hell no.
now I don't know how true that is, but I was like, honey, okay, God told you that, really? And especially in this day and age when we're dealing with inflation and everything else, God told you to wait, what was it, $5,000? She has several packages, but the one that everybody keeps showing is close to $5,000. Yeah, no, but definitely,
Over 5 Gs?
yeah,
In
five
the
G,
type of environment that we're in right now, when homes are
right,
costing 5 Gs?
exactly, exactly, Yuli, yeah, five,
Oh, damn.
$5,000. So
She
that,
she she definitely delusion. She in
yeah,
stage 6 delusion. I'm
yeah,
telling you.
yeah. So I just, again, but hey, you will have people out there who will support it, I'm sure. Maybe one or two. So hey, if they willing to do it, I'm not gonna knock it. If she can give a good package, whatever. But she did say on her site that there is no refund policy. That was definitely stated. And then literally she said that, I think there was a part saying, well, what if you're not happy? They said that you need to contact them and they'll let you know if that is a reason, I guess, for a refund. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
honestly, she's probably better off really getting like a YouTube page started and talking about her testimony from beginning to end and being able to develop followers and make money that way. Like,
Yeah, she actually could.
yeah, or a podcast or something. Which, I mean, technically that could be both. She could do both of them. Because I of course operate on YouTube like a podcast, but she could definitely do that. You know what I mean? I don't know about this whole other thing that she's doing, but we'll see how it works. But she definitely has the following to do that. She has over like 100,000 followers now. So I wish her well though, because I didn't want to keep this long because it's a lot. And I think a lot of people, you got to really watch it. And honestly, by the time I was done with the Yuli and everyone who's watching, I didn't know what to say. I felt so uncomfortable. I felt speechless. I was just like, I don't know. But at the same time, I kept saying to myself, I can almost guarantee we have so many Danae Jacksons out there. And it don't have
Yeah,
to be a Danae Jackson who is chubby or Danae Jackson that has unkept hair and pimples on her face. You got Danae Jacksons that look like models, like look like straight up walk the runway models. Believe it or
exactly.
not. You know what I mean? Like you have those who literally you would think that they don't have not one insecurity in the world, who have abandonment issues and stuff, just like everyone else, who literally do the things that Danae Jackson was doing.
Yep, that's why I said love is a dangerous thing.
It is. It is.
Love
And
is very dangerous, especially if you don't have self-love.
right. Right. You know what I mean? If you don't have self-love, love can be very dangerous because
Very.
self-love and self-value will help you even when, because we have all played the fool. We have all played
Mhm.
the fool before. But eventually that self-love and that self-value made us stop.
Exactly.
And it made us stop
You
and made us
realized.
regroup.
Exactly.
You
You
know,
realize. And that's also the reason why a good friend is also needed in every single aspect of your life, even if it's just your mother or even if it's just your little cousin or whatever, just that person that looks at you, that knows you, and can tell you, girl, this isn't you.
right,
The fuck you looking at the mirror? This is not you.
right, right,
You need that. Like those are essential because at the end of the day, you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I could love, I'm in love, I'm in love. Girl, that dream of love will intoxicate you to the point of you not even realizing who you are. But if you can have somebody that can look at you and tell you, you can be in love, but this is not the fuck who you are. You need to get up your ass and do what you got to do for you.
Right.
And that is what I kept looking into, and I kept realizing that unconsciously I was actually comparing her situation with the situation of Monique and Derek
Mm-hmm.
from from Love After Lockup, because I automatically ended up comparing them. Like her situation, you know, Danae's situation is actually very realistic. Like you can see where the turns and twists came in her story. You can see where everything kind of, plot basically came out. You know what I'm saying? But with the Monique and Derek situation, I have not been able to find that connection of this abuse, of this rowdiness. Like, yeah, seem to have played this game so far up that it doesn't seem that there's any empathy or any love or any even connection to any type of emotion on that feeling between you, because it just all seems staged.
Well, here's the thing. I will say this. Here's the connection between the similarities between both of them, which shout out to Monique, because I think that was her who came in the chat talking shit. So shout out to you with your probably 50,000 clone pages and fake pages. But here's the thing. It's the similarities are the same because of both men, in my opinion, purposely seeking out women that they knew didn't have self-worth and self-value. And they were going to find their self-worth and self-value within him versus finding it within themselves.
Yeah.
That's the similarities in that. And then also what they're willing to do, consistently willing to do, to try to keep these men, and what they're willing to ignore to try to keep these men, and what they're willing, because Danae's situation and her denial phase when all of this stuff came out and how she was talking to us is similar to Monique's situation. It's just that Danae was using the Bible where Monique was being ignorant and cursing and swearing all over the place and blaming us. You know what I'm saying? And to a certain extent, Danae came off like she was blaming people who was criticizing her relationship too. So they do have similarities. They do in that sense. They have similarities.
Yeah.
It's just that they actually had a legitimate relationship to a certain extent, as legitimate as it could be, by meeting each other in college and then developing from there, versus other people who were pen pals in the situation or prison pals in the situation, where literally all you had was a phone and hearing that person's voice. You know what I mean? But it just shows you that someone can manipulate you and charm you and have you believe a lie, even
Oh
if you
yes.
have constantly met them and you known them in person versus on the phone too. A hustler gonna be a hustler. A
Oh
F boy
yeah.
is an F boy. So is and then again, when you're dealing with women like that who have no sense of pride and self value, they can tell them anything. And honestly, here's the thing: Monique tries to say she left Derek, but realistically, again,
Derek left her.
huh?
Derek left her.
Yeah, Derek had been left her, which is why
That,
he did so much stuff to finally to the point where she had no choice but to leave. You see what I mean? It wasn't like
mhm.
living in Chicago where she's from. She was in an unfamiliar environment. He kept leaving her in the hotel, whether she said and he said is willingly or willingly or whatever the case may be. He didn't care anymore. So at the end of the day, he had already, hell, he never was really in the relationship, but he definitely, once that, in my opinion, once that show went on and he realized that the money could be made without her, he already had mentally, he had checked out. So he was waiting. It was
Yep.
like,
He
I
found
don't
his
want to
way
be the,
out.
yeah, I don't want to be the bad guy and say it, but I'll keep on doing this stuff to where you eventually gonna want to leave anyways.
Yep. Pretty. Yep. Definitely that. I could definitely understand that because that's exactly how it came out transmitted over to us as well. But
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you though, both of these situations is like it just truly shows you how impactful we are at the point where we need to start teaching our daughters to love themselves first before getting to
Ooh,
the point
Yuli, say it
of
again.
getting
Please
them
say it
to
again.
even we got to get them to the point of teaching them how to love themselves first and foremost before even getting them to the point of even them crossing those school doors, because we're getting to a point that humans aren't being honest anymore.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm not gonna put no race, no ethnicity on it. The human species has turned into a pathological liar itself. We have
Yeah.
learned to hide our truths and hide our hearts, and at the end of the day, that's hiding our faiths, and we cannot do that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel so bad. When I was hearing this, I was literally like crying, and I'm telling you, like I rewind a whole bunch of it because I kept questioning myself, like if I was put into that situation. I'm a runner. I'm the type of person, bitch. I'm not gonna fight for nobody that doesn't fight for me.
Right.
I really don't. I am that person. If I notice that, I even know I'm that person that if I even notice just one slight shift of what the relationship was, I'm questioning it. And if my questions are not answered, I'm walking because I gone through so much bullshit that I know myself enough that I know I can do it on my own and that I love myself enough that I deserve better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
But
is what
that's why as far as girls too, but even women who have sons, they got to teach their sons too that, you know what I mean, because I feel that a lot of these men are like this is because of what they also endured as children also. So they have to be taught also. Yes, we need to teach our girls, you know,
Mhm.
self-love and self-value, get away, but there also needs to be some teaching when it comes to these boys, and how they treat women as well. Like they also need to have a better understanding because truthfully, self-worth and self-value, if they really had self-worth and self-value, they wouldn't want to mistreat someone like that. For me, I have self-worth and
Mhm.
self-value. I don't purposely go out to hurt and destroy people because I
Exactly.
wouldn't want someone to do it to me. So the fact that you're willing to do that, it also shows there's some deep rooted issues when it comes to them too, the men. You know
Yep.
what I mean? It's
Even
like
the fact that you're willing to just stick it around, even when you know you don't want to be there.
exactly.
That's fine.
Exactly, exactly. But beautiful Sage lady, I was more in love with the thought of marriage and wedding than I was with my ex-husband. See, exactly. And that's
Hmm.
the thing too. People are so in awe of, you know what I mean, marriage and just being able to say that I am kept or I have a husband or I have a man or I have a woman. And really at the end of the day, people need to really check themselves on what is the marriage really about. I've always been told that sometimes the bigger the wedding, the bigger the lie. Like people who have these big extravagant weddings and they don't typically last even 5 years in their marriage versus some people who go to the justice of the peace and they've been married for 40, 50 years. You know
Yep.
what I
I've
mean?
been told there has always been a transaction between two people.
Yeah.
The vows are taken personal, not physical. That's what I've been told.
Yes.
Therefore, I never truly believe on the actual ceremony of the thing of a marriage. I've always believed, hey, you wanna have a party with your family, girl. You can do that anytime, any day, any place. You
Exactly.
don't need you don't need to get a venue of $15,000 venue. Girl, go to the park, put some music, put some stuff, get a fucking tent. You do not know how my family does it. We don't even need a stove. Get us some freaking woods and we'll make a fire.
Exactly, exactly. So that's why for me, like if and when that time comes, it has to be worth it. It can't just be about
Mhm.
the love aspect of it. It is a transaction, not just about love, but about business, about financial, like all of that stuff you are merging together as one.
Exactly.
So it has to be worth it. And it can't just be about saying I'm married. As married now, like at this point, we clearly see that's the reason why so many marriages aren't lasting because
Hmm.
people are truly in that mindset of I just want the title, but I don't want the work. I don't want the work to keep that title. I don't want to do the work. I don't care. I just wanted the superficial reasons of it. And that's clearly what she wanted. She wanted the superficial reasons of it, thinking that all of these titles from mommy to wife to girlfriend was going to keep Derek. And none of it worked. None of it
You
worked.
can't keep them. Yep. You can't keep a man if a man don't want to be kept. It's the
Exactly.
same
No
thing
matter
as a dog.
no matter what ultimatums you give them. And yeah, beautiful
Mhm.
said, "It took me so long to love myself again." And that's okay, because you know what? We've all been there. We've all been
Mhm.
there where we felt like we've hit a certain rock bottom, and like we knew who we were, we lost ourselves, and then we found ourselves again. We all have been there. I'm just grateful when women are able to find themselves again, because that's
Yep,
the
it's a hard road.
yes, that's the important part, that you find yourself again. And I really hope that Danae finds herself again. I really do. I hope she finds herself again. I hope she heals, not just for her, but she has two girls. She has a son and she has two girls by Derek.
Oh no, girl.
Yes. So, and again, the internet is forever. So I hope she talks, because I think she said one of her daughters is the one that she was talking about with the complexion, and how she was saying that they had her even though she carried the child. That child, I mean, the internet is just always going to be out there. So that interview is going to be out there. So I'm hoping she's prepping her daughter for that as well, because
Yes.
something deep for your daughter to hear. That's deep for your daughter to eventually hear and be like, "Mommy, like what was that?" You know what I mean? That's deep for her to hear. So I definitely, anyone who's listening to this, like I said, I'm about balance on my channel. We could talk about the gossip, we could talk about the ignorant stuff, but at the same time, we can talk about the healing stuff as well. It may not be as entertaining, but it's something that needs to be done, because you just never know who may click on that link, listen, and be able to have a different perspective and be able to heal themselves, or be able to walk away from a situation that's not good for them. So at the end of the day, this is why I have these conversations. Like, look, this was deep. And all women, especially Black women, they need to listen to that interview, because I can almost guarantee you they either know someone who was doing a Danae Jackson, or they are a Danae Jackson. Period. They definitely, and it's one of those things where a man should not take you this deep. He should not be able to take you this deep to where you truly, not even say, she didn't even lose herself, and that's the problem. She didn't know herself from the beginning. So
Exactly.
but it's one of those things where at a certain point, no one was able to stop her, nor was she able to stop herself to realize that she needed to change. And which is why it's a valid point that, was she really going to change if Derek didn't say he wanted the divorce? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, would you have literally, or would you have ride this relationship out until the wheels fall off, or you completely lost your mind because he is the one who said, "I want the divorce"? So would she have still been in that mindset of riding this out and just dealing with it and keeping her internal issues inside, just for the sake of their marriage?
I believe she would have, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like it was something that it was ever in her plans. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't, at no point in her interview did she say, "Oh, well, what I made plans. Well, I was starting to do this. I initiated doing this." At no point did she ever say anything like that to remove herself out of the situation. She initially just kept digging herself in that hole by
And
actually defending his actions.
this is also shows that education doesn't mean anything. This is a college educated woman. Danae is a college educated woman. She just got her master's in divinity. She got her bachelor's from Tuskegee University. So she allowed this man to do all of this to financially be responsible, because she said at one point she was not working. She was a house mother. Even though there are ways for you to even make money on the side, even being a house mother, she just allowed, this was truly like almost like a waiting to exhale moment. You allow this man to just take over everything. So then, therefore, if he was willing to leave you, he was willing to do that, and you had no backup plan. You had no financial backup plan for anything. I don't understand why I be mad at the woman who warns these women about these men, though. I never cursed or went back and forth with women. I kept quiet and took it all in until I realized they right. I think, here's the thing, you guys. and I've actually mentioned this, I think we are in a place of, we've always in a place, especially in our community, we have this thing about worshiping our men even when they don't earn it. We have an issue with, and we are so cutthroat with each other versus really holding men accountable. I think that's part of the issue, as if that's going to put us in a higher position with them to protect them, but in reality, as we can see, that don't work either. It really doesn't. Like, as far as I see it, protect the men that protect you, but don't protect these men just simply because they men, or allegedly men. I can't even say, to me, a man definition. A lot of these guys aren't men. Like I said, they're F boys. But yeah, I think that's just what it is. We just have this worshiping mentality of always taking a side, or that mentality of, well, she allowed him to do it, so it's her fault. But it's like, no, how about we also hold him accountable? Just because she allows him to do it doesn't mean, if he wants to be seen as a man, that doesn't mean that he should do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my problem. You think she would have what, beautiful sad? You think she would have found herself? I hope she would have, but again, it
She
goes.
wouldn't have. She
I think,
closed the doors.
yeah, like, I think it just goes to show that you were still living in the house with this man, living probably still separate lives, but until he said he wanted the divorce, you were still in the house, dropping, YouTube or IG messages to people, trying to curse them about, what they say about you and your marriage. You were doing that. It took him to say, I'm done with this marriage, for you to move on. And that
Yep.
was even a year ago. That's scary. So it's like, are you really healed, or is this just an illusion? You know what I mean? Like, if Derek said that he is a changed man and turned around and reached out to her this summer saying that he wanted to get back with his wife and reconcile, would she? Makes me wonder.
I, I would believe it because I've seen women do it so many times that they just, yeah, he's changed. He's a different person now. Yeah, you've only seen him back again for 1 month, and then 3 months later, you're back in the same situation, on the same place, in the same in the same position. The problem here is that we got to realize that time has no prisoners. Time is something that is essential for any broken heart, any broken mind, any broken person, because those are things that only time can mend. And
Mm,
if you keep exposing yourself to the same situation, you're not going to find change. What you're going to find is the definition of insanity, which is repeating the same bullshit over and over again and expect
yeah,
a different conclusion. Girl, no.
yeah,
He told you I'm done. It's done.
right.
Ain't nothing else to say. Ain't nothing else to do. There's the door. Give me my alimony. Pay your kids' child support. Be there for their lives, and I wish you the best.
And
That would
here's
have been my
the
words.
thing. Here's the thing. He already has showed her time and time again he was done. He just finally verbally said he was done.
Hmm.
Already showed the actions constantly that he was done. He just verbally finally told her via text that he was done. So he was already showing her that. Like, he was already showing that he did not love you, he did not value you. He was already showing you that. And of course, there's going to be women out there that says, well, he had to love her, he married her. Do y'all realize that people marry for so many different reasons and it has nothing to do with love?
Do y'all realize that the definition of marriage is a transaction? Go back to ancient times. They used to sell us.
Like, seriously, like, a lot of people do not marry because of love. I mean, just like people say women marry to get financial stability with a rich man, there are reasons that men will marry women, and it has nothing to do with love. Even if he's the breadwinner, it can have everything to do with control, everything to do with the
Mhm.
fact that she's at home doing what I need for her to do while I'm out here doing my thing. A lot of the times, you have a lot of people who are in marriage and it has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with value or respect. It has nothing to do with any of that. And that's where we got to get out of that mindset. Everything shouldn't have been erased out of her mind once he said, "Will you marry me?" Everything shouldn't have been erased out of her mind once they said their I do's. No, marriage will not change an unhealthy situation. If
The
anything, you're just legally locked in that unhealthy situation now. It doesn't change it. You're just legally locked in it. And once you're legally
Yep.
locked in, and you can be in a worse predicament because, as you can see, this divorce situation is not an easy transaction. She said they're still going through the divorce process. So this is why
Oh,
it's important for people to understand, like, my whole thing is that whole pick me attitude, pick me, y'all, that's gonna ruin a lot of people with that pick me vibe. Because she clearly she loved that pick me vibe, thinking that was gonna change everything because she was Mrs. Jackson, and she went through more hell and still more hell. Like, she already was going through hell, but she went through even more hell now that she was Mrs. Jackson. The only benefit, I guess, at this point that you could say out of the situation is that she had her children, and that now if he is still financially stable and capable, she can get some alimony and some child support. But that's a big if, because let's not even know, we've seen before men who had money who hide their money just so the woman can't get anything. We've
yep.
So we
That
don't
is for
know
sure. We
what
have.
we don't know where this is gonna lead. But with that being said, I wanted to talk about this. I know a couple other people on live right now, so I'm sure some people will come back and replay this live. This was deep, you guys. I highly recommend you guys watch these interviews. I know they're long. Trust me, I know they're long. You talking about somebody who was literally watching it while I was at work, and then I had to get off of work, try to take notes. It is long. It is long, but it definitely teaches us how we need to value ourselves, because her issue was
Yeah.
she never valued herself. She never knew herself, and she tried to find all of that in a man, which is,
Yep.
I said, there's so many Danae Jacksons out there. Just some are on a private level, and we would never know their information publicly. But it's a lot of Danae Jackson. So I was like, I'm not about to roast her, because you know what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it's plenty of women out there, and then in certain situations, we've all been that fool. We just wasn't a fool maybe for that long, but we've all been that
Yep.
to a certain extent, of a man cheating and us trying to, work it out or whatever the case may be. We've all been that fool. But she definitely showed us some deep rooted things going on with her and her self-esteem and her image. And she was very vulnerable about it. And I do feel that a lot of women need to hear that conversation, hear those parts, to really show that it at the end of the day, you gotta work on you, but you have to realize that it's that man and that's his decision. You can't look at yourself and say that you are not worthy because of what his actions have decided to do. You have to find your love and your value within yourself. And she literally still, even after years of being with him, did not find any value or love, to the point where she was studying women that he was cheating with. I was just like, I was mind blown by that. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you're studying them, thinking that in some way, you know what I mean, that you will be able to become them?
I'm telling you, that thing mind blown me. I
It
went
is,
back to it 3 times because I'm like, how did you ever get to the point where you're thinking like this and you're not
yeah.
realizing that what you're thinking is so messed up?
Which is why, Yuli, I said, what was her relationship like with her mother growing up? Because we talk about her father all day long, but she did not mention the mother. And she did even mention at one point she separated herself from her family because of the tension between her family and Derek. But she doesn't really go into detail. Her mother was young. She said her mother, I think, was 16. Her father was 18. I would like to unpack her relationship with her mother,
That's
because
child. You imagine though? Oh
yeah,
my God.
because the abandonment issues were already there with her father. But how did her mother make her feel? How did her mother teach her about valuing herself and stuff like that? How did she see her mother react to other men besides her father? You know what I mean? Like there's so many things to unpack here that was not answered. Like, what is your relationship like with her? But with that being said, I'm gonna wrap this up because I didn't want to be long on this. But Yuli, do you have any last words? Thank you for coming up, beautiful Sash. Thank you for coming up, and everyone who is currently listening live or will be listening, thank you so much for your support. Like the video, definitely leave your comments on this topic. Yuli, any final words?
My only final words is, guys, let's teach our kids better than what we're being shown. That's all. That's my only word of advice.
Yeah, yeah, then that's a beautiful ending. We have to teach them not just by words but by actions because clearly they have
Mhm.
seen there's so many things they can see by action right now in so many ways compared to when we was growing up. They got social media, they got TV, they got of course their lives at school. They have so many ways to be able to get those negative things by actions compared to when we were growing up. If anything, at most, we saw what was in our household, school, TV at the most. Now they have so many options. So, yeah, we got to show them
Yeah.
by not only what we say, but by our actions that follow it as well. Because at this point, we have a lost generation. We really do. And Danae is, she's not super young, but she's 33 years old. But I wonder if the social media worlds and stuff like that played a part in how she felt about herself too. Like she could really dissect all of this and really just make a killing off of just creating a strong podcast, being vulnerable and really reaching out to a lot of women because there's plenty of women like this.
Oh yeah.
That need some help and they need some healing. And a lot of that time that healing could just be sharing your story, not necessarily guiding them through a boot camp, but just sharing your story and just letting them know that they're not alone in this world and someone else has experienced the same thing. But with that being said, Yuli, thank you so much. Everyone else who came in, participated, gave their comments, thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful evening. Like I said, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles. Bye, Yuli.
Bye. Have a good night, guys.
You too. Bye.